So today I'm back in school and I've come to visit somebody very special. I don't know if any of you recognise this room. I think some of you might recognise the person that's over at the desk.
Hello everyone.
And here she is, Miss Lennon. We're going to do an interview with Miss Lennon in a minute, but I thought you might like a little look around this room just to remind you about our wonderful salon. The place where the customers sit while they're waiting, those comfy chairs. The place where they have a consultation and have their hair done. And over the other side, some of you are good at doing this, the place where they have their hair washed too. Hello everyone, it's Mrs. Sugden, and this week we've been thinking about the world of work, and one of the stories we've done is about somebody who is a hairdresser. So I thought, who could we talk to who knows lots about hairdressing? Well, who else but Miss Lennon?
Hey guys.
So Miss Lennon, what would you say the personal skills you need are to be a good hairdresser?
To be a good hairdresser, I think the main personal skill is smile. And it doesn't cost anything, so all we have to do is smile. Smile at the client and automatically the client feels happy.
So make sure you're welcoming.
Very much so.
Would you say that being able to ask questions is important?
It's really important. When the client comes in, if we just kind of stand there, first of all, there's a slight bit of awkwardness, so we have to be really clear on the words that we're using and the language that we use with our clients. I always teach my learners, how can I help you?
Yes.
What is it that I can do for you? So it's very open-ended questions that we like to use.
So you make sure that they get to tell you what they want?
Absolutely, because when they walk in, we don't know what they want. We know perhaps it's a beauty service or a hair service, but what they want is key for us as hairdressers to understand.
That's great, thank you. So we're talking about personal qualities. So what would you say are the skills that you need to learn, and what order do you learn them in once you decide you want to work in a salon?
Okay, so normally the learners learn at about the age of 14, 15, and when they first come in, it's always the toughest part of becoming a hairdresser is level one, is the very first stepping up the ladder. And that's what I say to my learners, we've got to work our way up the ladder, starting on the very first step. The very first step is you come in and you learn how to sweep the floor. And some people look at me, really? I have to learn how to sweep the floor? But it's one of the most important things when they first start.
So you'd have to sweep, sweeping the floor, as you say, no one particularly likes that, but why is it so important in a salon?
One of the key words we always use within the salon is health and safety. And from a very first starting point, health and safety is key. Because if the floor had hair on it as a client walks in that the junior stylist hasn't cleaned up, automatically there's a risk. The client could come in and slip over the hair, which wouldn't go down very well with the client.
So that, you would say that's a starting level. Does that have a sort of a name that you would give that job?
Yes, so that would be automatically they start as a junior stylist.
Okay, and
yes.
What other things would they need to do in that role?
So as a junior stylist, we'd start working with the doll's hair. You'd very much work alongside a stylist who would already have learned the skills as a junior stylist. We'd always start off by learning the names of our equipment and what we use it for when we're working on our dolls' heads. We've lots of different equipment that they use, but these are what we would learn in the very first few lessons of hairdressing. All of the equipment, learning about the doll's hair, and actually how we brush the doll's hair is one of the first things that we would learn.
Could you show us just quickly what we would need to know about that, just as an
Absolutely.
example? Because it's not just dragging a brush through, is it?
No, absolutely not at all. I mean, automatically you just pick up your brush and you go in and you think, I'm just going to brush. But if that's pulling on the client's hair. Because if the client hasn't brushed their hair first thing in the morning and they come to the salon, well, we've got to really think about what can we do to make the client comfortable. So we would always start by brushing our hair from the ends. You'd start by going in slowly, brushing through from the ends and working up through the middle lengths and then up to our root. And there we can see that hasn't pulled on the client's hair, and the client's quite happy to sit there and let us brush it. So just always remember, start from the bottom and work your way up. And that's the key thing.
So, and you'd say when you start as a hairdresser, you wouldn't be working on a client, you'd start practicing.
We'd always start with the doll's head, because if we make a mistake, then it's okay. Because it's doll's hair, we've plenty of doll's heads that we work with. if that was a client and we made a mistake, I don't think they'd be too happy with us. So key to start on the doll's head, learn all the skills that you need to know, and so that you can start working your way through the levels of hairdressing to whatever you're going to do out in the world of work.
What skills can you practice using a doll's head?
So when we're learning our hairdressing, of course the very first thing is how I brush the doll's hair. And then as we go along, we've got lots of different equipment. We can start by curling the hair using a straighteners, or straightening the hair using the equipment. But of course, this is where health and safety comes into it as well. So we need to be sure that we understand health and safety before we start using equipment that can cause danger or cause harm. And also, this is one of the ones
Wow.
the kids love doing. Actually, this is curling, and it gives some amazing curls. Really, really good. And another one is our setting hair in rollers, which can be quite difficult, but it's great for our fine motor skills.
Right, so one of the things you can do is practice those skills even before you would start on the career as a hairdresser. You could practice by putting in
Absolutely.
curlers and
Even if
things.
you thought, you know, I don't know if I want to be a hairdresser, but even to still practice those skills is really, really good, because it really helps.
What's the first job that you would do actually on a client?
I think the first job would be to shampoo the client's hair.
Right.
So once I see that the learners are getting quite confident, and you can see their skills they're building their skills, we then start introducing shampooing the client's hair. We will always start by either using a member of staff here at Meadow or their pairs, because there can be a little bit of wetting on the shoulders if the client's not positioned correctly. So we would actually spend quite a few lessons on learning. We do demonstrations. I would work with one of the teachers here at school, and I would show them exactly how we do it, why we're doing it, and the different techniques that we use.
What would you say the most important thing you need to remember if you're washing someone else's hair?
Well, I think the key one is checking the temperature of the water.
Oh,
because I know if it was me, I don't like cold water on my hair. So it's key that we remember to check the temperature of the water, and I hope my learners will know exactly where this is, but it'll always be on our wrist.
Right.
So we would test the temperature of the water on our wrist, then we would apply it to the client's scalp.
Very good, thank you. So the final level is styling hair.
Yes, so once we're confident working on the doll's hair, and once we're very confident with shampooing the client's hair, you would then start moving on to actually styling the client's hair. So it would actually be somebody like you or I that would come in, be made feel comfortable, given a good service. So now the learners are actually going to think, right, I'm ready to work on the client. And that's the next step up. Before we would ever move on to cutting hair or anything like that, you've got to have stepped up the ladder, gone from stage 1 to stage 2 to actually now working with a client.
Would you recommend hairdressing as a career?
Very much so. I mean, I started hairdressing at a very young age of 14, where I'd finished school, or I'd be on my way home from school, and I used to just sit in a hair salon. I wasn't old enough to be able to work, but I used to sit and just watch the stylist, because I found it really interesting, and it's such a skill, you know. It's not just being able to wash hair or cut hair, but there's so many other things that you get from being a hairdresser.
I would imagine one of the things is you get to be part of some really important experiences for people.
Really, very much so. I mean, the key one for me is somebody getting married, because it's a big activity in their life, and it's so nurturing to them and how everything is going, and you're one of the first people to meet with them, because they want to come in, they want their hair looking nice. So they come in and they have their trial, and you build such a good relationship with your clients.
And it's a big part of their day, isn't it?
It's a massive part of their day, because we all know if our hair's not right, sometimes we don't feel right. But if our hair looks good, we feel good.
Yeah, I completely agree with
Yeah.
that. Where can you be a hairdresser? It's not just in salons, is it?
Absolutely not. And I think, and we learned this about the different career paths that we can have. Some of us may not want to work in a hair salon, work in those long hours. You can actually work on a cruise ship. Lots of the bigger ships now have salons within them. Not only just hair salons, but beauty salons, nail bars. You could also you could work for yourself, what they call a freelance hairdresser. So once you've learned all those skills, You can be your own boss and take yourself off and just go around the houses. Or you could work in a gym. Now some of these fancy gyms have got hair salons in them. So it really isn't, you don't have to be working in a shop. So much more that you can do.
Sounds really interesting. One last slightly random question. We're reading a book called Even Monsters Need Haircuts, and I've asked the students to look at the monsters and say, actually, which one would I like to do a haircut for? So I'm going to ask you the same question,
Okay.
if that's okay.
Absolutely. Okay, so there's quite a few monsters in this. Oh, actually, I think I'm going to go with this monster.
Okay,
Bit
why?
big and hairy. He looks a little bit scared.
Yes.
And it's not scary. It's okay to come and have your hair cut. But I could do so much with his hair.
What would you
Give
do?
him- Oh, give him a big fringe and lots of layers going through it. Oh, make him look pretty cool, actually.
Wonderful. Miss Lennon, thank you so
You're
much.
very, very welcome.